The Compliance Perspectives podcast is sponsored by Case IQ, a global provider of whistleblowing case management and compliance solutions. Learn more at caseiq.com. Welcome to the Compliance Perspectives podcast. I'm Adam Turteltaub from the Society of Corporate Compliance and Ethics and Healthcare Compliance Association. Joining us today from Charlotte, North Carolina is Andrew McBride. Andrew is founder and chief executive officer for Integrity Bridge. And today we're going to be talking about a white paper he recently wrote entitled Generative Artificial Intelligence, Use Cases for Ethics and Compliance Programs. Andrew, first, what led you to write the white paper?
Thanks, Adam. Pleasure to be back on the podcast. So, over the past few months, I was speaking to a lot of chief compliance officers who are actual or prospective clients, and there was one recurring theme about AI. They were being provided with enterprise AI tools, told to use them to make compliance processes more effective and efficient. But those teams weren't getting the technical support that they needed to identify and implement those use cases. So there was a desire on the part of those compliance officers to know what other companies were doing. And so I decided to write a paper summarizing what I was hearing and seeing in the market.
That should be useful for filling a rather large knowledge hole out there. Now, you talk in the paper about generative AI and the potential it has to augment the work of compliance officers. Can you tell us how so?
Yeah, so generative AI is really good when it's asked to play a specific role doing one particular activity. If you start asking it to do lots of different things, it gets a bit more challenging. But one role, one activity, it's very good. And so what you're able to do is set up multiple custom AI use cases that can support different aspects of a compliance officer's day-to-day work. And I think that we're going to talk about some of those use cases on this podcast.
Yes, that's very much the plan. Now, in your paper, you outline 5 cases or 5 use cases: interpreter, drafter, researcher, data analyst, and then finally monitor, investigator, and auditor. I'm hoping we can briefly go through them. Let's start with interpreter. Does it mean just interpreting between languages or more?
So yes, it's true. AI has led to a significant reduction in the cost and time it takes to translate materials. So there are providers out there that can translate training materials now in seconds and using company-approved translations for important words such as company core values. But AI's role as an interpreter goes beyond that. It can help you distill lengthy or complex documents into short, pithy summaries. So 2 examples. The first, you're about to go into a management or a board meeting and a new regulation has just been issued and you know that you're going to get asked questions about it. AI can help prepare a bullet point summary of the key requirements in that regulation. Second example, maybe a country manager has just called you to say he's about to go into a town hall. He wants to a quick note to talk about the company's conflicts of interest policy and how to make conflict of interest disclosures. Again, quickly, AI can take your conflicts policy and process and put together a series of bullet points to help that country manager out right then, right there. You can now even generate podcasts between 2 AI people talking about a policy that you have uploaded to the platform. So AI's ability to interpret and distill lengthy documents is truly excellent.
For the record, this is not AI. This is actually 2 people conducting this podcast. And frankly, I think I have a conflict of interest and have to oppose that use of AI. So let's move to the second use case, which is drafter. Is that an extension of interpreter or something more?
Sure. So it is, if in a way that what we were talking about earlier is the interpretation of a lengthy document and then the distillation. Here we're talking about drafting from scratch or helping to augment what you've already put together. So it can support that drafting and review of your various ethics compliance materials. Now, as a subject matter expert, the compliance officer is obviously responsible for that substantive content of the policy or the training material. And so, as a general rule, I don't ask AI to prepare a first draft of the legal compliance policy. But where AI really helps out is converting that draft into a polished version that reflects your company or compliance team's voice. You can educate the AI on what that voice is by uploading key documents, such as your core values, your code of conduct, and other materials that you're super proud of. And it can also tailor those materials to specific audiences. I find that AI is really excellent at drafting role play scenarios for training purposes.
So you can use it literally to create a scenario and give parts for different people to play?
Yeah, so you can, if you got, okay, let's use a conflict of interest scenario. You can set it up so it already knows the company, it knows kind of maybe the business unit and perhaps some of the issues that come up day to day in that company. And so you can then ask it, I need an appropriate conflict of interest scenario for employees in this business unit in this particular location. And provided you set it up right, and perhaps you fed it with some background information, it will come up with some really great conflict of interest training scenarios.
Remarkable. So the third use case is one that surprised me a bit, which is researcher. I think of AI and all those famous incidents we've heard of them making up things like fake lawsuits and case law. Is AI that unreliable, or am I being a little bit overreactive?
Yes, and obviously those cases of hallucination are well documented and carry lots of health warnings. And I think part of the issue is that if you're using an AI tool that has access to the internet, then clearly there are going to be questions over the quality of that research and that enhanced risk of hallucination. But what you can do is you can set up your own custom AI use with a defined knowledge base of documents to support specific research tasks. So you're not actually accessing the internet. So for my own consulting business, I've connected ChatGPT to a database of public modern slavery reports. And then for each report, I'm supplementing that report with metadata, which helps the AI interpret the document. And so by doing that, I'm then able to use the ChatGPT interface to conduct a whole different type of research for preparation of articles or speeches, or even supporting client work about how companies are managing human rights risk around the world. And then clearly, I always trust but verify the results that are coming back from that GPT. Now, if you turn that to kind of like within a company and for compliance teams, I think that AI is going to transform due diligence. Same principle, compliance officers are already gathering lots of material during their diligence on a third party. If you set up the AI right, it can help you identify the gaps, the inconsistencies, and the red flags in those materials. It might even help you write or review the draft diligence report. So by limiting the documents that AI has access to and setting the prompt up correctly, it can support with these sorts of research tasks.
And that leads us to the fourth use case, which is data analyst. I can see a lot of potential there. How can compliance teams capitalize on it?
Yeah, so data analytics has been all the rage for a number of years, at least on the part of the encouragement of the Department of Justice. The barrier for most compliance officers is doing the data analytics, whether it be in Excel, Power BI, Tableau, or some other analytics tool. What Gen AI enables you to do is undertake pretty complicated data analytics without needing that technical knowledge. So, an example, let's say you compile a spreadsheet of the dates of all of your compliance communications and training events from a year. That's one data set. And then you extract the number of speak up reports that you've received over the same period of time. You can ask AI to analyze those two different data sets to see if there are any patterns between particular training or communications and speak up rates. We did something similar at my last company where we're actually able to demonstrate that speeches from particular business unit presidents had a noticeable impact on a healthy speak up culture. AI just helps you get to that same kind of output in a much quicker way. Another example, I recall several years ago spending several hours poring over role profiles in my last company's HR system, trying to figure out what roles needed what compliance training. Again, AI can help with that. If you simply extract those role profile descriptions from your HRIS information system, you upload that and the relevant training material, you can ask the AI to identify which roles require the training. It can be a starting point, and obviously you can check and verify, but it can be hugely saving from a timing perspective. And so with any data analytics, though, even if it's with AI, you still have to ensure that the underlying data is complete, that it's correct, and it's in the appropriate format to make sure that AI can do its thing.
Finally, let's look at the last use case, which is monitor, investigator, and auditor. How would that work?
Yeah, so we've already seen significant technology advances in recent years to support compliance and audit professionals do monitoring and investigations and audit. So with transaction monitoring, we've had the use of machine learning that's helped to reduce the number of false positives. That's been key. In investigations, you've seen enhanced e-discovery technology, such as neuro-linguistic processing. With AI, we're now starting to see convergence. AI is able to review both the structured data like financials and unstructured information like text. So, for example, when you're doing transaction monitoring, AI is able to review not only the financial data behind a purchase requisition, but it's also able to read and understand the text that might be included in the purchase requisition that might give off red flags. And then if there is a genuine flag with transaction monitoring, AI can then undertake perhaps a limited review of the relevant communications surrounding that purchase requisition. Now, clearly, there's lots of data privacy and responsible AI questions there, but I think that might be a topic for another conversation.
Frankly, it's all topics for many, many future conversations. It's remarkable what's going on. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for writing the white paper and sharing your insights with us today. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to listen. I'm Adam Turteltaub from SCCE and HCCA. I hope we're able to expand your compliance perspective.